What's up, everyone, and welcome back to Movie Race.
Get ready for the most thrilling season yet. The first look of You Season 5 is finally here, and it's absolutely mind-blowing. From the moment you catch a glimpse of the first look, you'll be hooked and counting down the days until the release. The first season of the gripping psychological thriller You premiered on the cable channel Lifetime and hit screens in the fall of 2018. Audiences were immediately captivated by the dark romances of handsome bookstore manager and serial killer Joe Goldberg Penn Badgley. With a second season already in the works, the show was transferred to Netflix, where it quickly gained a global following. The show, adapted for television from Caroline Kepnes' trilogy of the same name, currently has 4 seasons, each more shocking than the last. You is returning for a 5th and final season, leaving audiences to ponder the all-important question: will Joe finally face justice for his crimes? Continue reading to learn everything we know about the 5th and final season of You.
So these security guys outside...
Yes, my father is the worst man alive, and I am his favorite daughter.
Greg Berlanti, Dawson's Creek, and Sera Gamble, Supernatural, created You for television. Michael Foley, How to Get Away with Murder, Gina Girolamo, Pretty Little Liars, Original Sin, and Lee Toland Krieger, The Vicious Kind, serve as executive producers. The show's composer is Blake Neely, The Flash. Penn Badgley, who plays protagonist Joe Goldberg, is also a producer on the show, and recently made his directorial debut in episode 9 of season 4. Now let's see what we have from the previous seasons, but before we continue, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. You begins by following bookstore manager Joe Goldberg in New York. Joe appears to be the ideal gentleman, intelligent, well-read, quick-witted, and an old-fashioned romantic. However, we soon discover that Joe hides a dangerous and perverse darkness beneath his charming exterior. When aspiring writer and graduate student Guinevere Beck, Elizabeth Lail, walks into his bookstore one day, the true extent of Joe's obsessive personality is revealed. Joe, convinced that he has met the one based on their brief encounter, goes to great lengths to make Beck fall in love with him. Throughout the first season, Joe's toxic and stalking tendencies are explored as he strives to remove any impediment to his and Beck's perfect love story. However, in the end, Beck realizes his true intentions and manages to lock him in a vault, but Joe escapes and kills Beck. You's 4th season is almost entirely set in London, and the finale is no exception. The episode begins with Joe reeling from the unexpected death of Marianne, Toddy Gabriel, whom he had previously imprisoned in the infamous glass cage but intended to release. Joe disposes of Marianne's body on a park bench and stages it to look like she overdosed to dispose of the evidence. However, in one of the season's many twists, it is revealed that Nadia, Amy Leigh Hickman, collaborated with Marianne to realistically fake her death, and the former assisted the latter in fleeing the country and reuniting with her daughter in Paris. Kate, as Charlotte Ritchie, is also heartbroken in the episode after learning from her estranged father that her entire life has been a lie. Lockwood, as Greg Kinnear, her father, reveals that he has been responsible for all of her successes since the moment she turned her back on the family. When Joe learns of this, he does what he does best. He murders Lockwood. However, overcome by the growing darkness within him, he later attempts suicide by jumping off a bridge. It's no surprise that Joe, who has an uncanny ability to survive against all odds, awakens in the hospital just in time for a heart-to-heart with Kate. Kate informs Joe that following her father's death, she inherited his vast fortune and businesses, allowing her to cover up all of Joe's crimes. Joe embraces his dark side, believing that he has finally met his equal in Kate. Joe kills one more person across the pond, Nadia's boyfriend, frames Nadia, and returns to his home state of New York with Kate. With his reputation once again gleaming as a result of Kate's wealth, things appear to be looking up for Joe. It's important to remember that Marianne is still alive and well in Paris. She is well aware of Joe Goldberg's capabilities, and it is only a matter of time before she speaks up. things will be very different in the 5th and final season of You. Joe, as previously stated, is now a different character. He has accepted his role as a full-fledged villain, no longer needing to justify his actions or the people he harms in order to achieve his goals. Given that the series has always portrayed him as an anti-hero, at least until the end of the 4th season, this must be a major shift. He'll have no regrets or qualms about his actions, making bolder moves and openly hurting anyone who gets in his way. This is a very different path for Joe, and it is likely that the series will lose some of the dark comedy that has made it so popular with viewers. As we've always suspected, and now the show confirms, this is the story of a serial killer and predator who must be stopped. Joe also has to deal with his relationship with Kate and his son right now, but it's the former that's most intriguing. We don't know what Joe told Kate about himself or how much he told her. Joe appeared remorseful for his actions following his suicide attempt, but we know that was a complete lie. He framed Nadia and murdered her friend not long after, embracing the monster within himself. Could she truly accept and forgive him for murdering her father and many of her friends? Not to mention everything he did before arriving in London. Even if he did tell her the whole truth, if history is any guide, it won't be long after their relationship falls apart. When the series returns, Joe's wandering eye will find him with a new target to stalk. And given that he is living on Kate's money, how will this affect his behavior? Now let's throw some light on the cast of You for the 5th season. Based on how the 4th season of You ended, we believe the following 3 cast members are almost certain to return for the final season. Joe Goldberg is played by Penn Badgley, Kate is played by Charlotte Ritchie, and Marianne is played by Toddy Gabriel. It is important to note, however, that just because a character dies on the show doesn't mean we've seen the last of them. Through a dream sequence, fan favorites Elizabeth Lail as Guinevere Beck and Victoria Pedretti as Love Quinn returned in Season 4. Could more of Joe's killings come back to haunt him in Season 5? In February 2023, it was revealed that Hollywood scream queen Jenna Ortega had planned to return to You, but scheduling for Wednesday kept her from doing so. Ortega played 15-year-old Ellie Alves in Season 2, last seen when Joe gave her a substantial amount of money to start a new life. Scheduling conflicts aside, Ortega's return is partially ruled out. Furthermore, You is most likely assembling a team of sorts to take down Joe in the end. Of course, that team could include many familiar faces from Joe's past wrongdoings, but here are the most obvious candidates: Ellie, Nadia, and Marianne. Marianne, for example, is in an ideal position to work against Joe. After the 4th season, he believes she is dead, allowing her to lurk in the shadows and watch him as he has done for years with so many others. While Nadia is unlikely to be much of assistance, her entire future is at stake because he has accused her of multiple murders. Ellie, on the other hand, has known what Joe is capable of since the 2nd season, when her sister Delilah, Carmela Zumbado, was murdered by Love, though she believes Joe is to blame. Ellie is out for vengeance, which makes her the most dangerous threat to Joe because she appears to have nothing to lose. Her reappearance is unavoidable, especially since she was rumored to return during the 4th season. Given how Season 4 ended, there's no way the writers are preparing Joe for his happily ever after. Now that he's admitted he's a monster, he'll fight harder and pose a greater threat to this team. Well, that's it for today, so are you excited about the last season of You? Who do you think will bring Joe down? Share your thoughts in the comments and stay tuned for more updates.